So this is a tool that we've created to manage client invoicing, raise invoices directly in Xero, and also view a forecast for the entire agency across all projects. I'll quickly demo it to you and just run through all of the features and functionality. So on the landing screen, which is the project screen, you've got a list of all of the projects that are open. So as soon as a project's approved, a project manager will come in and enter a project, assign it to an appropriate client, assign themselves as the project manager, and in this column we can see how much of that project has been invoiced at any given time. If we look at one of these projects for an example, you can see the project name across the top, the client, and the contact details. Now these are managed on these pages, and it just means that at any point anyone can go in and see the email address and phone number for the project lead or for the accounts contact, so they know who to contact. We've got the value of the project and the amount that's been invoiced. So here you can see it's all been invoiced. So when a project's approved, the project manager will come in and they will enter the payment schedule. So whatever's been agreed with the client. So we've got 4 lots of 25%. They will also anticipate when each stage in the project will be reached and when we'll be able to raise that invoice. That information then feeds through into the forecast. Got the amount of each invoice, and then here we can see all the ticks are green, so we know that those invoices have been raised and sent out via Xero. You've got the date of the invoice, and then if you hover on here, we've also got the invoice number, so you've got all of that information in one point. Expenses don't always apply, but that might be something like image costs or video production or anything we're using external suppliers for, and it just means in our forecast that comes off the profit for the agency. And you've also got notes here, so that might be to add a note just saying special payment terms agreed or anything to do with the invoicing that we might want to communicate between the project managers and accounts. And what happens is when the project manager is ready to invoice, so we look in this one, we can see that this tick is black, this tick is grey, and what that means is the black one has been sent to Xero as a draft. So for example, if I show you here on this one and say, right, this one's now ready to raise, so we're going to tick that. It says, do you want to raise in Xero? Go back in and we'll now see that that tick is black also. And then if we go into Xero itself, so this was for the Friend Finder app for the TV company. And then if we refresh our Xero accounts page, you can see drafts. We've now got that invoice has now been raised, and if you look in here, the description has been pulled through automatically, so on approval of designs. So our accounts, Sarah and our accounts would go in every day and see if there's any draft invoices sitting there. If there are, approve them, and then that would then feed back into here. The tick will go green, and then we've got the invoice number from Xero. So everything is automated, and it's just really efficient way of doing things. Now all of that information is then pulled through to our forecast. So here you can see the month by month throughout the year. We've got all of the projects listed by project manager. Where the numbers are in green, we know that they've been invoiced. So as soon as a project manager puts in the payment schedule, so 4 lots of £15,000 in this case, that then feeds into the forecast. If the project gets delayed, and so for example February's payment now won't be till March will be in April will be in May, then just update that in the project. That automatically updates on this screen. We can see that that's green, so we know that that 15 grand was forecast and has been invoiced, so you can see the difference is Xero. When we come to later months, we'll see that 10 grand was anticipated but hasn't yet been invoiced, so therefore we're a minus on that, but obviously that's for June and we're not there quite yet. So we've got the subtotals for each project manager for each month, and then at the bottom here for the total for the whole agency. So it just means that we can see the anticipated income, and that's automatically updated if any changes do happen in the project. So we know there's going to be low months or high months and what's been invoiced against each client. So that's the main features of the tool, and hopefully that's a nice quick demo for you, and we're going to be refining it over the coming weeks as we put it into action and use it properly.